Let's talk about social work, but maybe not in the way you're thinking. We're going to look at how social work can tackle some of the biggest challenges out there by changing the whole system, not just dealing with the symptoms.
Okay, so when I say the words social worker, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, right, it's probably someone doing one-on-one counseling or maybe a caseworker helping a family through a tough time. And that is absolutely a vital part of what they do. But it's not the whole story. Not by a long shot. The field and the impact it can have is so much bigger than you might think.
All right, let's get into it. To really get the big picture, we've got to start with the small one. It all kicks off with something I like to call the zoom out effect.
This is where it all begins, you know? At the micro level, a social worker is with one person, helping them work through their own personal challenges. Incredibly important work.
But then a pattern starts to show up. That social worker sees another client with a problem that sounds really familiar, and then another, and another. Pretty soon they realize, wait a minute, this isn't just one person's issue, this is happening all over the community.
And that right there, that's the light bulb moment. The perspective has to shift. The question isn't just, how can I help this person? It becomes, what is going on in the system that's causing so many people to run into this same wall? That is the zoom out.
So, this shift in focus brings us right to the heart of our topic today, macro social work. This is where the work goes from helping one person at a time to changing the conditions for everybody. Now, what I find really interesting about this definition is the language, professionally guided intervention. This isn't just well-meaning activism. We're talking about a skilled, strategic practice. It's all about creating real, measurable change in organizations, entire communities, and yeah, even in laws and policies.
So if your goal is to change a whole system, where do you even begin? It sounds massive, right? Well, macro social workers have a very specific and pretty powerful toolkit. Let's make this real. Imagine a neighborhood that's a food desert. There's just no easy access to fresh, healthy food. Here's how that toolkit gets put to use.
It kicks off with community organizing, which means bringing residents together to name the problem and build some collective power. Then comes policy analysis. That's digging into the weeds, like city zoning laws, to figure out what's stopping a grocery store from opening up. Armed with that info, they move to program development, maybe designing a plan for a community-owned co-op market. Then they use advocacy to petition City Hall, fighting for the funding and permits. And you can't forget business administration skills to actually manage the project and make sure it can last. It's a whole process for making systemic change happen.
With a toolkit that varied, you can probably guess that macro social workers aren't just in one kind of office. Nope. They operate across all sorts of different arenas to get the job done.
And the range here is just huge. In our food desert example, the person digging through zoning laws, that's a policy analyst, probably working in government. The one leading the neighborhood meetings is a community organizer at a local nonprofit. And the person who ends up running the new co-op market, that could be a program director, maybe even at a private company's foundation. The impact is so broad because the work happens everywhere.
But it doesn't matter what the role is or where they work. All of this is grounded in a really deep, solid set of ethical principles. This is the why that fuels everything they do.
These 6 core values from the National Association of Social Workers Code of Ethics are the absolute bedrock. They make sure the goal is always to serve others, to uphold their dignity, and to act with integrity and competence. But there's one value in particular that is the real engine of macro practice.
Social justice. This is the heart of it all. It is the core belief that everyone deserves equal economic, political, and social rights and opportunities. Macro social work is really the practice of trying to turn that belief into a reality.
So, to wrap it all up, if you think of a social problem like a big tree, microsocial work helps the person who's struggling on a single branch. But macrosocial work steps back and looks at the whole tree and asks, is the soil toxic? Is the root system failing? It goes right to the source.
And that leaves us with a final thought for you to take away. Look around your own community, your city, your country. What's a widespread problem that you see? Now, thinking like a macro social worker, what systemic root cause might be hiding underneath it all?